Most people are not destroyed by catastrophe. They are dissolved, slowly, quietly, by habits so small they seem harmless. A screen lit at midnight, a promise postponed until tomorrow, a weakness excused because everyone does it. This is how empires fall, not with fire, but with comfort. Look around. You live in an age where discipline is rare and weakness is normalized, where the masses are ruled by impulses they do not question. They wake without intention. They consume without hunger. They sleep without honor. And then they wonder why their life feels hollow, why their will feels brittle, why they stand at the edge of the abyss, staring into the void, unable to move. Here is the terrifying truth. Bad habits are not accidents. They are training. Every distraction you repeat is a vote for the person you are becoming. Every indulgence is a rehearsal for surrender. And while the average person negotiates with their weakness, the top 1% are engaged in warfare. Not against the world, against themselves. Have you ever felt trapped in a cycle you despise? Knowing exactly what to do, yet doing the opposite? That is not a lack of knowledge. That is weak will. And weak will is the most dangerous enemy you will ever face. Long before algorithms, notifications, and endless dopamine, there lived a man who understood this battle with terrifying clarity. His name was Miyamoto Musashi. Musashi was not born a legend. He was born into chaos, an orphan, a wanderer, a man forged in blood and solitude. By the age of 30, he had fought and survived over 60 duels to the death. But his greatest victories were not over other men. They were over his own weakness. Musashi lived in an era where hesitation meant extinction, where comfort did not exist, where discipline was not motivational, it was survival. Yet even then he saw the same enemy we face today, an undisciplined mind, a will corrupted by desire. Near the end of his life, Musashi retreated into isolation and wrote Dokkōdō, The Way of Walking Alone. It was not a book of techniques. It was a manifesto against weakness, a guide for those who wish to conquer themselves. Because Musashi understood something most never realize. If you do not command your habits will command you. Today, this war is harder than ever. You are not weak by nature. You are conditioned. Modern society is engineered to keep you soft, distracted, and dependent. Cheap pleasure is everywhere. Effort is optional. Pain is avoided at all costs. Your brain is constantly under siege. Notifications hijack your attention. Entertainment numbs your hunger for purpose. Comfort convinces you that discipline is unnecessary. The masses call this freedom. Musashi would call it slavery, because every bad habit shares the same root: escaping discomfort, scrolling instead of thinking, eating instead of feeling, procrastinating instead of confronting fear. You are not addicted to the habit. You are addicted to relief, and the more relief you seek, the weaker your will becomes, until one day you look in the mirror and realize you are being lived by your impulses. So how do you reverse this? Not with motivation, not with guilt, not with self-hatred. You reverse it with structure, with philosophy, with warfare. Musashi did not eliminate weakness by fighting it emotionally. He outgrew it, and he left behind a protocol. 3 principles: simple, brutal, unshakable. Principle 1, ruthless awareness. Musashi wrote, "Accept everything just the way it is." Most people misunderstand this. They think acceptance means passivity. It does not. Acceptance is the blade that cuts illusion. Your bad habits persist because you lie to yourself. You rename weakness as stress. You justify indulgence as balance. You call avoidance self-care. Musashi would demand something harsher. See yourself clearly, not as you wish to be, as you are. Sit alone, in silence. No phone, no music. And observe your patterns. When do you reach for distraction? What emotion are you avoiding? What thought makes you flee? This is not comfortable work. It is staring into the void. But awareness is domination. A habit you cannot name controls you. A habit you observe begins to fracture. Write it down. Every trigger, every excuse, every rationalization. This is psychological warfare. You are mapping enemy territory, and the enemy is inside. Principle 2. Voluntary hardship. Musashi lived with almost nothing. No possessions, no luxury, no attachments. Not because he hated comfort, but because he refused to be owned by it. Weak will is cured through chosen difficulty. Modern life gives you too much ease, so you must inject hardship on purpose. Cold instead of warm, silence instead of noise, discipline instead of impulse. Wake up earlier than necessary. Train when you don't feel like it. Delay gratification even when no one is watching. Not to punish yourself, but to reprogram your nervous system. Every time you do what is hard, you send a message to the mind. I am in control. Bad habits lose power when discomfort becomes familiar. Musashi slept on the ground, not to suffer, but to remember who was master. You don't need extremes. You need consistency. One act of voluntary hardship per day. Unnegotiable. This is how weak will becomes unshakable. Principle 3. Identity over desire. Musashi did not ask, what do I feel like doing? He asked, what does the path demand? Your habits persist because you identify as someone who struggles with them. I'm trying to quit. I'm bad at discipline. I always relapse. These are spells you cast on yourself. Musashi would cut them apart. You are not someone trying to be disciplined. You are someone who does not negotiate with weakness. Identity precedes behavior. Decide who you are, then let habits obey. Create rules, not goals. I don't scroll in the morning. I don't eat without intention. I don't escape discomfort. Rules remove debate. Debate is where willpower dies. The masses live by feelings. The disciplined live by code. Write your code. 3 rules. Simple. Absolute. And when you fail, as all warriors do, you do not spiral into shame. You correct. Immediately. No drama. No stories. Only alignment. This is mastery. If this message resonated with you, subscribe. Not for content, but as a commitment, and answer this question in the comments. Which habit has had the strongest grip on your life, and why? Say it aloud. Name it. Bring it into the light, because habits thrive in secrecy, and warriors do not hide from truth. In the end, Musashi did not conquer others to become great. He conquered hesitation. He conquered indulgence. He conquered the quiet voice that says, tomorrow. Bad habits are not your enemy. They are your teachers. They reveal where your will is fragile, where your mind seeks escape, where your spirit has not yet hardened. Stand there, in that discomfort. Do not run, because on the other side of weakness is a version of you the masses will never understand. A mind that does not tremble. A will that does not beg. A life governed by intention. Fade to black.